Hey everybody, welcome to 30-minute pull request. Again. Hey everybody, welcome to 30-minute pull request with me, Jacob Tomlinson. In this video, I'm going to try and tackle an open issue by raising a pull request on GitHub in under 30 minutes. And I have noticed my stream quality seems to be dipping up and down. My internet connection is fine, so I don't know if this is something to do with the restreaming service I'm using. But if you are noticing bad quality, please let me know in the chat, and I can kind of have a look and try and address that. Because it does seem to be fluctuating all over the place. I might actually just check it on another. I'm gonna watch myself on Twitch before I get going with the stream, just to make sure things are actually viewable. Because if they're not, then I just won't bother. For my channel. Right, it's always weird watching yourself a bit of a delay. Okay. I'm going to keep talking, but I'm kind of watching myself with like a 10-second lag on Twitch, so that it sounds reasonably okay. It seems to be stuttering a bit, but I don't know if that's my connection dropping. Yeah, there seems to be like a load of lost frames. There's about 25% of frames getting lost, which is really frustrating. Right. Well, let's just see how we go. Yeah, basically, I'm gonna start going. If the quality is not great, please let me know in the chat. Hey, yeah. So I've just started streaming. The quality doesn't seem to be like super amazing. I seem to be having some trouble with my restreaming service. Is the video like choppy or the sound choppy? It keeps dropping. Okay. That's really annoying. Yeah. So I've checked my internet connection, which is absolutely fine. So I'm guessing this is a problem with restream. Let me also just, I'm going to go onto YouTube and just see what my video quality is like over on YouTube. See what's going on. Yeah, watching on YouTube seems to be like slightly better, I think, although the video is a bit choppy. Is the sound choppy as well, or is it just the video? Just the video. Okay. I think in that case, what I'm probably going to do is just carry on because the video is not like hugely important, right? I'm just writing code. Like a high frame rate doesn't matter too much. As long as you can hear me all right, I think that's what that matters. So, and then I'm recording this anyway, so I can put this up on YouTube afterwards, which will hopefully be better quality. So let's jump in. I'm going to get started. I'm going to start my countdown clock and I'm going to explain what I'm working on today. So let me turn on my auto switcher and let's go. Oh yeah, so quick update. I now have a domain just because I wanted a place to put stuff. So I now have constrain.dev, which if you just go to that, it just redirects you back to the Git repo, because the Git repo is like the homepage for this project. But one of the things I've just been playing around with is making some custom overlay widgets. So the countdown widget on the very first, at the very beginning of the stream was like my first widget that I've kind of written myself. And it uses the WebSocket to plug into OBS and like to connect between overlays and like a control panel. So I have a tablet that I can control my stream from. So hopefully, it's not done yet, but the countdown timer up there sometimes gets away with me, and I can't pause it if I want to like pause it and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna keep fixing that. I'm gonna keep fixing up the repo. But let's go to projects and have a look at what we're going to look at today. So the one I wanted to look at, I've just raised a note for this, is I went to do, so there was a release of Dask yesterday, a bug fix release. And there's a bunch of automation already in Dask. So when a release goes out, new packages get pushed to IPI and Conda Forge and upstream Anaconda. Um, and we've got a GitHub Actions workflow in the Dask Docker image setup. So when Dask gets deployed, it gets released, the Docker image gets a pull request opened against it automatically to update the version of Dask that's used in the Docker image. So as part of the release process now, that pull request gets raised, somebody reviews it, they merge it in. When that gets merged, a new Docker image is built with a new Dask version that gets pushed up to Docker Hub. So we've kind of got this chain of events that you start by pushing a tag to the Dask Git repo, and you end up, going through some GitHub workflows. That then, when the image is pushed up to Docker Hub, that triggers a pull request to be raised against the Dask Helm chart. So Helm is like a package manager for Kubernetes. It uses Docker images to kind of describe the packages. And so the Dask Helm chart gets a pull request raised against it. And then it, let's just go and have a look at that quickly. Dask Helm. Google wants me to set my things. Okay, fine. Because I'm not logged in, I'm just in a separate browser to my normal browser. Right, so the Dask Helm chart has this workflow to watch Docker Hub, and it opens it. Does a find and replace for the Dask version in a couple of files, and then opens a pull request. So we had this pull request opened before, which I've already kind of reviewed and merged. But the Dask version got bumped to 2.18.1. I've merged that in, but now this is merged into master, but there's no automation around releasing the Helm chart, which is something I want to look at adding. So I'm kind of going to do that in 2 steps. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a bash script just to automate the steps that I normally go through to do this release. And then we might even look at doing GitHub Actions. It just depends how much time I'm going to take. So if I scroll down, the bottom of the README for the Dask Helm chart, there is like a releasing section, which I think I wrote a while back now. So it kind of covers, right? Releases of the Helm chart are automatically pushed to the GH Pages branch by Travis when Git tags are created. So we push a tag to this repo, and the chart is deployed. Before releasing, you want to ensure that the chart is up to date with Docker images and Dask, latest Docker image and Dask versions, and it tells you where to go and check that. Now, this is the bit that we've already automated, right? So we already have this pull request coming in every time we update the Dask version and the Dask Docker image. We get a pull request to update these things. So this is less relevant than it used to be, but I guess it's still useful to kind of have it there to show some of the checks that we do. So we make sure those are a latest version, and then in order to do a release, we have to actually edit a file. Now, I'm not a huge fan of code bases where you have your version number stored in a text file in the code base, because version numbers are part of your version control system, and ideally your application should detect this automatically from the version control system. So already it's slightly frustrating that you have to go in and edit this. Like in Python, I use there's a tool called Versioneer that I use quite a lot, which allows your Python application to detect its own version when it's used in version control, and also when you build a Python package to push to PyPI or something, it at that point the setup.py builds and incorporates that version automatically. So although when people install your Python package, they don't have all the version control that surrounds the project. They've got like a hard coded version. So as a maintainer, you don't have to worry. But for Helm charts, we have in the chart.yaml file, there is a chart version, and we just bump that every time we do a release. So the first thing we have to do is go in and edit this, and then we add a commit that just says we bumped the version in this file, and then we tag the commit to say we've bumped, this is this version, and then we push to the upstream rather than to our fork. And again, and from that point, Travis builds all of that, builds up the actual Helm chart repo and pushes that out. So I basically want these steps here in a bash script, because, or at least in a more copy paste friendly way, because at the moment I have to I tend to copy bits and pieces because of the way this code example is here. I have to copy this and then go and change that to be the version I want, and then copy this and then go and change the version in these 2 places to the version I want. And I just want that to be easier. So I could export it, I could export the version as an environment variable in my bash shell, and then kind of rewrite these examples to be more copy paste friendly. I might even do that just to let's start at the beginning. Let's start with that. So let's go to the README in code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say now what am I going to do? Yeah, I'm going to change this. I'm going to say update the version key into the new chart version, and I'm also going to say for ease of releasing, expose the version, set the version as an environment variable. Right, so let's say export Dask Helm version equals, right, got that. Let's spell that correctly. Dask Helm version. And then here, I'm just going to actually use that variable, Dask Helm version. Dask Helm version. That probably wants to be double quotes so it gets expanded. That wants to be Dask Helm version. Helm version. Right. That now already makes my life a little bit easier. I can copy paste those a bit better. So if I copy this into my shell, and then if I env grep Dask Helm version, I've got that set, and then if I did, I'm not actually going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go like that, and then, sorry, wrong button. I'm going to, if I just echo that, let's just escape those. So you can see, that command would be this if I ran it. So that already would make life easier. So I'm just going to, let's go on to a new branch, -b. And this is going to be like automate releasing. I'm going to do a few things on this branch. But yeah, the first thing we do is git add a readme and say update release docs to be more copy paste friendly. Oh yeah, wrong readme. Oh wait, why is that readme modified? Oh, it's because this is a symbolic link. Let's just add dot, right, and then there you go. Right. This is because there's actually there's a README under Dask and there's a README at the top level, and this one is actually a symlink. You can see the little arrow to say, oh, this is actually a symlink, symbolic link to the other README. So I've edited that one and I staged the wrong one. So I've updated this to be more copy paste friendly, which is nice. But I'm also, I could put this line up here, and instead of having this instruction here to go and update the version in there, I could make this a sed operation, or some other kind of string findable place. I'm actually not going to do that. What I am going to do is I'm going to make a new script. I'm going to call it release. So let's call this release.sh. Let's just make this bash script. Can't spell in bash. And what seems to have -eu in here? Just consistency. Let's set that as well. So I'm going to just write a little script which is going to do these things. So the first thing we want is to actually get the version, and I'm going to pass this in as like an argument. So I'm going to say version equals $1. This is just going to version equals $1, and let's just say echo $version. So I should already be able to just run my script if I just go CI release. Oh, I haven't given myself execute ability, so let's mod that with execute CI release. And then we'll just go CI release, and then we're just going to say 1.2.3, and we're going to print out 1.2.3. So we're capturing that version from standard in. I could be more robust with this and do some checking and things, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So the first thing we want to do is replace version in chart.yaml. Okay, and then the next thing that we want to do is commit chart.yaml. Then we want to do a git tag new version. And then the last thing we want to do is push upstream. Now people call branches like upstreams, remotes, sorry, people call remotes different things. I tend to call, if I forked a project, I tend to have origin as my fork, and then I create a new remote called upstream, which points to the repository that I forked from. And so that's how I do things. I have noticed in other bits of documentation, it seems like other folks in the Dask community sometimes use Dask because the organization is Dask. They might call their original thing Dask. So they have origin as their fork and Dask as their remote. So this is only going to work for me, but I am also the only person that maintains this project. So it's not the end of the world. But I'm going to go ahead and do this. The first thing I want to do is sed. I'm going to use sed to replace that line. Now I'm on a Mac. I also want to be able to run this from Linux. So I'm going to, I think I Googled this already, but sed replace line cross platform, as in I want this to work on both the BSD and GNU Linux versions. Now, replace line, sed replace line cross-platform. I did look at this already because there's some subtle differences between the BSD version of sed and the GNU version of sed. And I think it's mainly that you have to give a -i. Option. Right, let me just check. I think I might Google this somewhere else. What did I exactly Google? Sed inline replace line. That's what I want. Sed inline replace line cross-platform. Sed in place their work. Yeah, this is the Stack Overflow question that I was looking at before. So if you want to use sed -i the easy way, the following does work on both GNU and BSD Mac sed. So you do sed -i, which says in place, but you immediately give like a new name because it will like do a find and replace of your file into a new file, and then it will copy the new file back over the top of your existing file. So it does like a little shuffle, and it wants some kind of naming convention for the new file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this sed here, and then what I want replace in this chart.yaml, where's my chart.yaml, is this line, this version, up to that point. I want to replace that with version. I think this actually wants to be that, so I can then do $version and that file name. I'm going to assume that I'm going to be running this from the root of the project, so this will be a dask/chart.yaml. Okay. I think if I've got my regular expression correct, this will find any line that starts with version, has version at the beginning, followed by anything, and it'll replace it with version and the version that we've set in the first input. And it will do that inline in here. And I think this will probably make a new file called chart.yaml.back, which we might need to clean up afterwards. But let's just run that again. That has done that. Yeah, so it's created our .back file, which we don't want, and the chart.yaml. It has replaced the version with 123. So that's exactly what I wanted to happen, but I don't want this back file. So I'm also just going to say, I might even have chart path equals that, and then I'm going to say chart path here, and then I'm going to say rm chart path dot back. I want to clean up the backup file again. Let's run that again, and I'm going to say 124 this time just to do that. Okay, so we cleaned up the backup file that time, it disappeared, and if I go into the chart.yaml, it's set to 124, which is exactly what I want to happen. That's great. That worked, and that should be cross-platform. That should work on Mac and Linux. That's fine. Let's go with that. First thing I want to do is commit that change. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to use version here. So, and I'm going to make that a couple of these just because that's nice. So I'm going to say commit all changes that bump the version. Now, something we could do before we start all of this is we could call like a git clean or a git reset or something like that, just to make sure we don't accidentally pick up any other changes in this, because we're kind of automating all these steps. But I'm going to leave that for now. That should work. So I should be bumping my version to version. The next thing is going to be git tag. So this is going to be actually making a tag, and again, I've called this version here rather than. I feel like using a longer name in the README to kind of explain, oh, this is the Dask Helm version, I'm going to export this in my environment. It's a bit more descriptive of what's going on. Whereas in this script, we're a bit more contextualized. We know we're updating the version. This is, yeah, so I just use a more concise name here. So we're going to git tag the version, and we're going to say version. And then I'm also going to just copy this push upstream -- tags line here as well. That's my little script. The only way to test this really is to actually run it. So I'm hoping that I've kind of got this right off the bat. I've just added this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to git reset that. So git checkout Dask chart, because I want this to be back to 4.19, which is the current release. So all I've actually changed now is I've just added this release script. And I am going to update the README as well. And I'm going to say, then perform a release, you need to create the following tag. You can either use the release.sh, no, I'm going to call it by its full power, ci/release.sh script, or manually run the steps below. And I'm just going to put a little example here just to say ci/release.sh x.x.x, and go there. Might actually go like that. You can either use the release script, or you can manually run the steps below. This is partly just because I wrote the script, so I'm quite comfortable to just run it and trust it. Other people may, if they're new to releasing this project, they might want to come in and actually follow the steps themselves. So I'm going to add those. Git add and just check what I've added. So I've added my script and I've updated the README, and I'm going to commit this. And I'm just going to say add release script and update README with instructions. Okay, I made one change to make the release instructions more copy pastable, and I've added another change where I've actually scripted it and automated it. The last thing I could do, which I do want to do at some point, but it might be like a bigger project, not like too huge, but would be to actually automate the workflow with GitHub Actions. So I would want to have something like, we've already got this workflow where we watch, this runs every hour, and it checks, it uses some GitHub Actions that I wrote a little while back, but it gets the latest version of the Dask Docker image from Docker Hub, and it also reads in the latest version of Dask, the Dask Docker image that we're using in the chart, and then it does find and replace of the old version with the new version, and so most of the time it does a find and replace of what was the current version, 4.1.9, so yeah, 4.1.9. Right, so it does find and replace of 4.1.9 with 4. No, this is the Dask version, not the the chart version and the Dask version are slightly different, right? But this is the app version. So this is Dask 2.18.1. So what it was looking for is, at the moment, every hour it runs and it goes, oh, the latest doc image is 2.18.1. The chart says 2.18.1. We'll do a find and replace of 2.18.1 with 2.18.1, which will result in no change. And then we have like a create pull request action here, which makes a pull request to update the version if there are changes. If there are no changes, then this step just kind of silently exits and goes, oh, well, no, you wanted me to make a pull request, but there's no difference here, so I'm not going to make a pull request. So it kind of gracefully fails back to most of the time it doesn't do anything. But if Docker Hub has been updated, there is a new image, the find and replace actually replaces with a new thing, there's then a file changed, and this last step will go, oh, actually there is something, I'm going to commit it onto a new branch, and I'm going to make there's a new branch called upgrade Dask version, and we'll commit it onto there, and we'll make a pull request using this template to say, oh, we found a new Dask Docker image. Then somebody has to come in and actually like review it. Maybe this is kind of set up so that we can have some CI to test it if we wanted to. We don't at the moment, but maybe we could. But also just have somebody come in and manually check. We don't want to like necessarily automate everything all the way through. We want to have some controls. So this is kind of a control point. We've made a pull request, somebody comes in and merges it. But at that point, we've merged a new Dask version. And every single time we merge a new Dask version into the Helm chart, we want to do a release. The Helm chart is actually modified so infrequently that each commit probably warrants a release. But in this example specifically, when we update the Dask chart version, we want to do a release. What we could do with having really is a new workflow, which runs on push to master, and maybe it just runs on push to master, and every single time it runs on push to master, it makes a new commit, a new tag, and it basically runs our little workflow that we just did here to update that and do a patch. What I would probably actually prefer is to kind of go around this pull request loop again. So have another workflow in here which says, oh, the Dask version has changed or something has changed. We should do this said, right? So it makes a pull request to replace the old version with a new version. It will make a new pull request against that. So if we change that version, if we change anything, a pull request gets open to say, oh, we should bump the chart version. And then a maintainer should come along and go, oh, yeah, it's time to release the chart. You hit merge on that pull request. And that should kind of go around again. It should trigger another workflow to go, oh, the chart version has changed on master, so we need to make sure there's a tag for that. And then you could have a little workflow which just says, check all the Git tags and see whether or not the version that is in the chart.yaml matches any of the Git tags. And if it doesn't, we need to create it and push that ourselves. And then that would go around the CI again, and then Travis would do the release. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to raise this as a pull request as it is, because that was a bigger bit of work. But then I'm going to open an issue and basically write down everything I just said. So let's git push this up to here. Oh, I've opened this in the wrong window. Let me just swipe. Sorry about the swipey window. I'll come back over here. I got my pull request to automate releasing. Just set the title to automate releasing. I'm going to call this actually first steps to automating releases. So this PR makes the release instruction friendly and also adds a script to run the steps all in one go. We should extend this in the future to have GitHub Actions request. Okay, I've added those things. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to manually release. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Can't decide. Like, this is one of these repos that I'm the only person that maintains it. Other people do like help out with things from time to time, but this is kind of my one of the things I'm responsible for. So I'm basically the only person that does these releases. I'm the only person that will probably run this release script. I'm tempted to just merge this in myself. I've kind of added this. I've updated the docs. I'm going to do a bit of testing on master. So actually, I'm going to copy this just over into here, raise PRs, just because I like to keep track of what I've raised in my 30-minute pull request thing. But the CI has passed on this. Travis is happy that the chart is a valid chart. So I'm just going to merge my pull request. Yeah. In a big project where there's lots of people working on something, you shouldn't do that. On small projects where maybe you're the only maintainer, you can end up sat around for a while waiting for somebody to come in and have a look. So I've merged that in. This is on master. So I'm going to come back to my code again, and I'm going to get checkout master, and I'm going to pull what I just merged. I should get those changes in, and just push out to my fork as well. So now I'm on the master branch. We have our release script and the updated README. But what I want to do now is I actually want to do this release because that's kind of where I started. So I need to do 4.1.10. So I'm going to go CI/release 4.1.10. And I'm going to run that. I'm going to cross my fingers and I'm going to hope for the best. Okay, that looked reasonable. It ran all the way through. It did all of the things I think I expected it to do. If I come back to GitHub, refresh the page, there should now be 12 releases. There are 12 releases. There's 4.1.10, which is the release. Like, it's slightly scary being able to do that so easily. I can I can run a script and just release whatever version I want, and I could accidentally typo, and it doesn't hugely lend itself to much double checking of things, but it could be worse. So what should happen now is Travis should build all of that, push it to GitHub Pages, the GitHub Pages branch of this repository, because this is how we host the chart repo. GitHub Pages should then build the website and update. So helm.dask.org has 4.1.9 still as its current version, but this should become 4.1.10. There is a bug in the current version here where the title is, there's like a blank line in the way the template's rendering, so the title's chopped off. But that is addressed in different pull requests. There's one that we actually opened on the stream, this add Helm cluster docs. Or at least we worked on the Helm cluster in the stream. I can't remember if I opened that pull request on the stream. But what should be happening now is Travis should be building this. Looks like Travis has finished doing some stuff. That should have pushed to the GH Pages branch. So if I have a look at this now and look, there should be 4.1.10 in here. Oh, not, yeah, 4.1.10 is there. So the new version is built. It was pushed 1 minute ago into here, and it should have updated there's like a index.yaml file. We should now have 4.1.10 somewhere. I think it goes at the end. 4.1. That's not, no, maybe it does go at the top. Version 4.1.10. Okay, so that was added automatically. So then the GitHub Pages site builds, and that should show up automatically in here. There we go, 4.1.10. So I've done my release. Everything else is automated. That's fine. My time's up, so I'm not going to go on too much longer. But that kind of pushed all the way through. I'm happy that release worked. But I would like to do another step on top of this to kind of automate further. So I don't know if I have an issue already for automating releases. I don't think I do. No. So I'm going to say this is our feature request. I'm going to say automate releases. So currently we have docs on releasing the chart. No, I want to automate version. It is releases, isn't it? Automate new version. I'm going to call it that. I think currently we have docs on releasing the chart, and a bash script to simplify the process. When a new Docker image is created for Dask, we get a pull request into this repo to update the chart. When we merge this, we still have to manually update the chart.yaml file with a new version and push a git tag. Travis will then handle releasing that tag. To improve this, we could also automate bumping the chart version in chart.yaml, perhaps with another pull request, and then have, I really can't type today, have an action which checks the chart version against the git tags, and if the tag doesn't exist, it creates it, triggering the rest of the release workflow. So I'm going to kind of cut this down a bit. So we'll say steps to implement. Open, add GitHub Actions workflow to bump the chart minor version and raise a PR when the chart is modified, and then add GitHub Actions workflow to create and push a git tag when the version in the chart.yaml is updated. Okay, which would mean that the release process, after that, the release process would look like GitHub Actions automatically opens PR when Docker image is updated. Maintainer merges PR. GitHub Actions automatically, I'm going to copy that line. GitHub Actions automatically opens PR to bump chart version. Maintainer merges PR. Travis, maybe that last Travis step should be migrated to GitHub Actions for consistency as well. But Travis builds and releases. No. GitHub Actions creates git tag corresponding to new version. Travis CI builds new tag and releases to GH pages branch. What I might just do is I'm gonna put like a little robot face on the lines that are automated, and then I'm going to put a little person. Let's have a person with a computer. That should signify a maintainer. I have a little person with a computer. So there's like 2 maintainer steps. Start minor version. Okay, so I've kind of got this. As a maintainer, I can add a label as well. So let's say this is an enhancement. Yeah, so currently we have docs releasing the chat, the bash script to simplify the process, when a new doc image is posted. So I've kind of in prose explain what happens. And I said to improve this, we could automate bumping the chat, blah, blah, blah. So steps to implement, add GitHub Actions workflow to bump the chat minor version and raise a PR when the chat is modified. And then add GitHub Actions workflow to create and push the Git tag when the version in chat.yaml is updated. After that, the release process would look like GitHub Actions automatically opens PR, maintainer merges PR. GitHub Actions automatically opens another PR, maintainer merges PR. GitHub Actions creates Git tag corresponding to new version, and Travis here. Now, some of this could be rolled into one, but at the same time, if a maintainer merges other PRs that are kind of actually updating the template, the Helm chart template itself, they might not want to merge, they might not want to release all in one go. So I'm kind of adding another step, because if you did a release every single time we merged a PR, that might be annoying. Whereas kind of you might want to make like a series of changes and then do a release, and then a series of changes, and you might want to still manually release. You might want to bump the minor version instead of the patch. If I put minor instead of patch, yes, bump chart patch version. Patch version. I mean patch, the last number, not the middle number. Right, I'm going to submit a new issue. So automate new versions. I kind of spelled that out. I know what I want to do. I think this could be a good 30-minute video. So I'm going to add this into here. I'm going to add that note. And I'm going to archive the one that we've just done. Finished. And then I raised this PR. It's kind of cheating because I raised it and then merged it, but I am going to move the one that we just raised over here. Now to just wrap up, I'm going to just have a look at other PRs. So I've still got a couple of outstanding PRs. This action label syncer one's just not been touched. This might be one that hangs around forever and ever and ever. Maybe the maintainer doesn't actually maintain that project anymore. We're actually, in Dask, we're using my fork, so it doesn't matter too much. Next one is adding the Helm cluster. So I actually got Gil reviewed the code. So there's like a few changes that have been requested, which is nice, bit of review, bit of back and forth. There's a few things that need fixing there. So although that pull request is quite a big one, it's a meaty one. I did it in like a Friday hack stream, and then also in a PR stream as well. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm probably going to keep iterating on that. And then this one, which is where I made changes to the Dask documentation using intersphinx. Both of those got merged pretty quickly after I raised them. They actually got merged before all of the CI finished, which shows the CI is failing because they were just documentation changes and we didn't care about the CI too much in that case. So those are done. Those both got merged. I am going to count them as one because it was one change that I had to make to two repositories. So it's one card. I'm going to move that over here. So we're still continuing our streak, being 8 for 8 in terms of things getting merged. Although it wouldn't surprise me if this action label syncer one may end up getting closed or just become stale. Maybe I need a new column for like stale PRs. When did I open this? 21 days ago. Yeah, I opened that PR 21 days ago. And there's been no movement. Maybe if we get to like a month or 6 weeks or something like that, I should have a new column. So that's it. I think I'm done. If you want to find out any more about me in the channel, you can now just head to constraints.dev. Oh, don't want to edit that. You can head to constraints.dev. It will take you to this repo where I've kind of got information about what I'm trying to achieve here and some info about my setup. Thank you very much for watching, and I will